Long games just stop being fun for me, and there's a reason why. And one of them is the fact that long games just have way too much filler. You don't really notice it when you're playing the game, but as soon as it asks you to travel across the whole map for some tedious mission, it starts to hit. And Death Stranding 2 is a perfect example of this, because a lot of people call it a walking simulator from what I heard, because the player just ends up walking half the time and you're doing these tedious long missions, and that's not even the worst of its kind. And a huge contender is Expedition 33. It won Game of the Year, and this is the studio's first ever game. And if you ever played this game, then you would know that this game has way too many cutscenes, and all of them are unskippable, so that means if you lose a fight, they just keep on repeating and repeating, and some of them are a minute long. And that's just insane, because imagine you lose a fight and you're spending more time watching a cutscene than getting back in the game. And after a certain time of watching these cutscenes over and over again, it starts to feel like an ad mid-game, and that's because the game is constantly interrupting you instead of just letting you play. And this game also has around 7 hours of cutscenes, and keep in mind, this is a turn-based game, like what? And the thing is that it's not just Expedition 33, I feel like a lot of these games are just copying each other, and they keep releasing these games that are called open world, but half the time they're just empty. And I feel like one more game that fits this whole thing is Starfield, because I feel like the game is locked behind spending a lot of time and grinding a lot before you actually do anything interesting in the game. And the main selling point of the game is all these massive planets that you can explore and land in, and when you actually do, you realize there's nothing, it's just ground. And for a full price unfinished game, it's lacking in a lot of places. You have to sink an insane amount of time before it actually starts to feel worth it, and the story is generic as hell. I mean, it's not what people download the game for, but you might be wondering, what do I play then? What do I like? Because don't get me wrong, I'm not saying games need to be 1 hour long or everything to be a short game. All I'm saying is that game's length needs to be justified while I'm playing, so there's no time being wasted on some stupid things. And what I mean by that is there has to be a clear reason why I'm spending 2 hours on one single mission. Some games just don't even do that. And a clear justification of a long game is that things are constantly changing. You're not in the same place doing the same thing for a very long time. And the fact that it can progress in a game without it feeling repetitive, and a lot of time can go by, and that can feel justified for a good game. And I feel like one thing a game should not be doing is just making the map bigger, because that's lazy and that's a way to not add anything new later on. And of course just redesigning missions for XP and such, because these things just scream copy paste for any other AAA game. And when a person hears something like that, they just say something like, I want to get a bang for my buck, and then they tell me if a game is like 100 hours long, then it's automatically just worth it, because they think spending more time in a game they paid for just makes it worth it. And from my view, that just looks like a coping mechanism. And it sounds smart and convincing, but is that 100 hours you spent in a game actually fun, or you just force-fed yourself? And this is why I don't really buy into stuff like this, because if I'm getting a game, I want to know exactly what I'm getting into, and spending more time in a game does not equal fun or worth it for a lot of people. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of games that I like that are long, and one of them is Resident Evil, the whole franchise actually. And they're not known to be short or anything like that, but the things I like about them is the progression. It feels like you're actually moving forward with the story with new tasks and, you know what I'm saying, puzzles and such. And the fact that even after all that, you can be in a new scenery and location, and it's been like that for a long time. And I think that Resident Evil 9 is gonna be another hit to the franchise. And when you look closer, you realize there's some other games I just don't even know how to end. And I'm of course talking about Baldur's Gate 3, and you may not know this game, but it's over 100 hours long and it won Game of the Year. And now you would think a game being this big means that everyone's streaming it and everyone's playing it, but no one has ever even touched it since 2023. And most of the people that I see playing it are just streamers being paid, and 9 times out of 10 the game is too long for them to even finish it. And I find it funny how this turn-based game, which is mid, is longer than Red Dead Redemption, Elden Ring, and Cyberpunk. And it's just a turn-based game, like. And that's how I feel about long games right now. I'm out.